And we're live!
Hey, everybody, how's it going? My name's Brian.
I'm Ian, and I'm totally not a robot.
Jesus Christ.
Oh my god. I'm the one who's not a robot, I guess.
And I'm wondering why I'm here suddenly.
Wait, what? What? I'm not a robot. What?
You were
Anyways.
definitely a robot a few
Bo,
minutes ago.
I know why you're here. It's to
Why?
offset Ian.
You know,
What?
you're right.
Chill factor?
I realize that you're right, and you should say it. And I'm Bo, by the way.
Ladies
can
and
see-
gentlemen,
We
boys
probably
and
have name
girls,
tags
we have
on that.
come to the end of an era. Did I say era? I meant season. Error protocol.
You know, it's a little of both, actually. It's a
Yeah.
lot of both.
But we'll get into that later. So, for those of you who don't know what this is and haven't been here every week, hi, this is the Attack on Titan podcast, specifically the very last episode of the Attack on Titan podcast before the new season of anime, where we will go follow a new show, which has yet to be decided. But tonight, we are talking about the final episode of Attack on Titan Season 3. That is Attack on Titan Season 3, Episode 59, The Other Side of the Wall.
Oh shit, was I supposed to watch that?
Maybe a little,
Oh dear.
If you haven't seen it, go see it now.
Oh, God, don't spoil me, guys.
Actually, that's this is a good time to mention for those in the chat, because this has been a problem in the past. We are obviously talking spoilers through all of Attack on Titan Season 3. So if you haven't seen all of Attack on Titan Season 3, you should definitely go do that.
Go watch
That
it.
being said, though, we're only talking spoilers for Attack on Titan Season 3. We are not talking manga spoilers.
Yeah,
So if
and
you've read
anime
ahead of the
spoilers,
manga,
not the manga.
cut that shit out. We don't want to hear it.
I will
Yeah.
delete you and I will time you out. I swear. I swear on the sacred walls that I will time you out.
Wow.
Bo has that power.
I do. I have. You see that little wrench?
Bo's got
That
admin
wrench is gonna
power.
hit you in the
power.
face if you spoil things.
That also means
The
that Bo is
band's wrench,
secretly a
the-
Titan on the side.
So,
Dude, don't help me.
Yes, tonight we're talking Attack on Titan Season 3, Episode 59, The Other Side of the Wall. This was a big episode.
It was. I
Mhm.
mean, to be honest, not a whole lot happened compared to some of the last ones. We're just like,
Yeah, the last two were very
exposition
busy.
dump. A truckload of exposition, but it was a very good episode.
I think it was like a FedEx plane full of exposition, but
Those big container ships, you know.
It
Yep.
was like the Salem info dump. It was just like, here is all the context. Take it how you will. And it was like, oh, thank you. My brain can't store all of this right now. Thanks.
Yeah. Yeah.
So they open the episode kind of following kind of where they left the episode last time, which is Eren has figured out that he's able to wield the Founding Titan's power when he touches someone with royal blood. But he is very concerned about what the military might do to Historia if they're
they
given
knew
that
it.
information, so he decides to stay silent.
And it's played off completely believably as just, it's one of those outburst phases of puberty that everyone goes through.
Yeah, people
Yeah,
just
yeah.
scream stuff in the middle. Don't worry about it.
That's fine. Yeah, it's normal. It's growing up,
Yep.
Totally
You know,
not
it's-
suspicious at all.
It's just so funny because I literally just came from a call with two people that haven't seen anything of Attack on Titan. And so we're watching through the first season. And one of them was like, what's Eren going through? Because I think he missed the episode where it's revealed that Eren's a Titan shifter. And he's just like, what's going on with
Oh.
Eren? And I was just like, oh, puberty, that kind of stuff. And Tina was just like losing her shit. And I was like, what, you mean you guys didn't turn into Titans? when you got puberty? And it
You
was
didn't
just
do
like,
that?
It was just funny. It was just really funny that they were just really confused.
The military heads debate whether or not to make this new knowledge regarding the Eldians and fucking what's the other country?
Marley.
Marley. You know, the Eldians in Marley and
Oh, I do remember that,
you know
yeah.
the subjects of Ymir, like, you know, they're debating on whether or not they should make that knowledge public to the rest of the citizens. But ultimately, they decide that even though they know it's going to cause chaos, they decide to release it anyways because they don't want to be like the former king and they don't want to be withholding information from the people.
Right.
That was kind of the whole reason why they had the coup in the first place.
Right. Well, yeah, they're like, okay, if we keep this secret, what makes us different than the government we overthrew? Right.
Right.
We're still keeping these secrets. Now, granted, if the king were to ever regain the memory wiping powers, they could just, you know, fix all of that in an instant. But
Yep. So, go ahead.
I was gonna say, and I just noticed it too, like, was becoming like the head of the fucking country, like, did Historia just suddenly grow? Because she looks really tall now.
It's
It
got
may
like
also,
platform shoes.
well, I think it's that, and I think it's also the fact. I think it's also the lighting, lighting and the camera angles, and she's probably also just trying to make herself looking as imposing as possible as, you know, queen of this country and its leader. She has to be, in a
yeah,
sense, somewhat of an imposing person whenever she enters a room.
See,
You've taken this cinnamon roll and tried to make it look like she could kill you, but she just looks like a cinnamon roll trying too hard now.
like I was
I mean,
about to
yeah.
say, I think the animators just made her bigger.
I think
Well-
that's probably what they did. But it's camera angles in the sense that they just physically made her larger on the screen.
They actually
Yeah.
have like a box that she stands on underneath her skirt, and they move it with her every time. She
Ugh.
moves down the line.
She just has somebody to push her around on the box. You know?
Yeah, it's like a little like wheelbarrow that they just pull around. Like, really
Yeah.
goofy.
So, but public response, as they predict, is all over the place. There are people that are like, "Wow, like I can't believe you've done this."
Yeah, that's got to be a heck of an article to read, right? Like,
Yeah.
we were over here being, wow, that's an exposition dump, and we know more than the citizenry of, like, you know, the people in the
Mhm.
walls know. they're still working on the. Oh wait, the walls are made of titans.
Yeah, like
They're a little behind.
a little
Mhm.
bit. So, uh, they've definitely, like, public responses all over the place. Some people are like, "Wow, like I can't believe this is happening." Other people are like, "Oh, this is all fake news."
Fake
then,
news, conspiracies.
And then there are other people that are just like angry, you know,
Yeah.
which is kind of to be expected. But Levi and Hanji are praised privately for having the guts to like expose the truth and expose
Mhm.
themselves to that.
Can I just say, Levi looks really good in a suit.
Levi
A lot
is
of
best
people
boy,
do.
okay?
Just
Like,
saying. He
I
cleans up real nice.
look, let me say, look, I'm a straight man, but Levi, I don't know. Like,
You know, Brian, I would argue differently, but we'll save that for when we're not on the podcast.
look, just because you've seen me drunk doesn't make you better than me.
I didn't say I was better than you.
But yeah, so but like
So they get praised in private for.
they get praised
you
in private, but like the fears that the people have are very real, I'd say.
Oh,
You know?
I mean, 'cause-
they're very much justified. However, I am very sure that the public would rather know and, feel what they're feeling right now than not know and be lied to, like with the previous king.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Uh,
I think what we were talking about last episode, right, is very, very true. This episode as well. Of this is a fundamental paradigm shift in the show and in the world of the show, right? For 100 years, these people have believed that the Titans are their enemies. And Aaron's whole thing at the start of the show was, I'm gonna kill all the Titans, grr, right?
Mhm.
And now they're like, oh, wait, Titans are, I mean, yeah, they're dangerous and they eat people, but they're us, right? These are our
Yeah.
people. They're not the ones that are really trying to destroy us. It's these other people across the ocean who don't turn into Titans, well, most of them.
Mm.
Which is like that's a very fundamental shift, right? You remember in the start of season 3 when Levi's squad is sort of wrestling with this concept when he tells them, "Hey guys, from now on, we're fighting people too, right? We're not just fighting
Mhm.
Titans anymore." And they're like, "Wait, but murdering people is bad. Don't." So they have a bit of a struggle with that, and this is like that same thing, but on a much bigger scale.
Yeah. No, and so it's like it's definitely there's some parallels that I definitely want to draw later on, when we get a little bit later in the episode, but there's a lot of like coming full circle with this episode.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but anyways, they go to the medal ceremony where they're going to be given their medals.
In which
And
case, their medals are literally just really fancy looking bolo ties.
look, okay, I love it. All right.
I was like, bolo ties. They're giving them fucking a bolo tie. Okay.
Look. I think they're real schnazzy. All right.
You're
they're kinda
entitled to your
snazzy.
opinion no matter how wrong it is.
Well, it's just gonna be an interesting thing when they're like recruiting new scouts, right? Because 9 people are gonna have these little medallion things, and everybody else won't.
What happens if you get more than one? Like, how ridiculous is that
Look,
gonna be?
then you
Well,
go with a different kind of look. I'm pretty sure
They're not
that
gonna
look,
give them more
okay.
of these. This
I'm
is
pretty
like
sure they made up that medal. I don't think that was like a medal that they had previously. That was like
No.
you fucking survived the apocalypse medal. Like,
Out of 208
Oh, so you're saying there's not like a higher
scouts,
tier medal that they could get?
yeah,
Literally.
they were like, we
Yeah.
need a new medal for this. Like,
Yeah.
It's the Kyoshi Medal of Freedom.
Oh wow. My thought is we need like this is beyond like a Medal of Honor recipient. We need to go like 3 or 4 steps above that to practically sole survivor medals.
Yeah,
yeah.
that's what it's not even like you were brave and you were honorable. It's like, yeah,
I have
everybody in that fight was.
Severe
You
disliking
lived.
of bolo ties, and so I'm like, bolo ties of all the things they could have
All the
with
things.
fucking bolo ties.
um,
Oh my god.
but
I'm
yeah, so
sorry.
they're at the medal ceremony,
Bolo tie
and
ceremony.
Hitch shows up. Which, okay, I'm gonna level with you guys. Does anybody remember who Hitch is?
I don't even know who
Vaguely.
he is now.
I know that we've seen her before.
Apparently, she was close with Marlowe.
Yeah.
Also, does anybody remember who Marlowe was?
He was the dude with the stupid haircut.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yep.
no, wait,
Who died?
yeah, Hitch. No, she was in that one scene with, because I just rewatched it. She was in that one scene with Annie when Annie went to the military police and they were like giving her shit about like
Yeah.
being lazy and whatnot.
She was in Annie's squad on the MPs. Yeah.
Yeah,
She and Marlo and Annie, and then Annie left.
And Marlo was the one that was like, dude, get off her case. Like, she literally survived like the Battle of Trost. Like, fuck out of here with that shit.
Okay.
And it was kind of implied that she and Marlo were like maybe gonna be a thing if he didn't die horribly.
And like, but
seems
like,
to be a recurring
why
theme
with
in
that
this show.
hair though? Like,
You're not a fan of her
Look,
hair, huh? Or
no,
his
no,
hair.
her hair is fine. It's Marlowe's hair.
Look, fam,
know-
she could always get him to get a better haircut.
I
If she
mean,
had a
I
problem.
guess there's
Even-
more to a relationship than what's on the outside. But like,
But seriously,
but like, it was. I'm sorry, Marlowe's hair was like some Ned's Declassified shit. All right.
Oh my god, yeah, he has like the bowl cut. I had to look him up to see what
I
he
would-
looked like.
I was gonna say, like, if he put a bowl on his head and shaved his hair that way, it might look better. I don't.
I'm gonna style my hair like that for RTX
Please don't.
because I hate myself.
Please don't.
And then
Okay,
so what's up with red hair guy's hair? Like he has regular hair, and then he just has this thing on the top of his forehead.
Ugh.
It's just like a little mat of hair. Like, what the heck is
It's
going
like a
on?
red circle on his face. Like, Jesus Christ, man.
Yeah,
Red hair dude, you're
it's-
talking about Flock, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
he has like the stupidest looking toupee or something. I
Like,
don't know.
dude, who is your barber? And whoever they are,
Fucking-
they either need to be fired or
My-
put in one of those more exotic.
My boy
areas.
Flock Forster, the one that we didn't know the name of, and I was like, his name is Flock Forster. He's suddenly relevant.
He's so, well, yeah, he's become a lot more relevant, and he's
Yeah.
like giving people stuff, which was
Yeah,
like, yo,
so
buddy, you're not
you
even
tell-
a main character. Stop talking. What?
Yeah, like so Flock tells Hitch about Marlowe, and he speaks real highly of him until
Mhm.
he's finally like, but like, I don't think he wanted to die.
Like, yeah, no shit, Sherlock.
Like, and then
Yeah.
like Gene or John, whatever the fuck his name is, chastises him. And Flock
And then
is like, well, somebody needed to tell the truth. And then he gets all up in Armin's face about being revived over Irwin. And he's like, yeah, everybody feels that way too. Like, it's not just me. Like,
And
your
then-
existence is terrible.
Armin
And then
is
Armin,
like, you think I
Armin looks
disagree?
around. Armin's like looking around, and he's looking at the backs of everybody's heads, and they're just like, he's thinking that they're thinking, is that what they're thinking? Do they all think I'm awful? Awful? Do they think that I should have died? Like, you
Yeah.
know, basically the opposite of what Levi told him. Like, hey, it's your mission to, you know,
Mm.
you survived. I chose you. I'm not going to regret that decision. Don't make your friends regret it, and don't you regret it yourself. And then this guy's over here like, yeah, you're awful, and everybody hates you.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
here's
He's a good kid,
here's
gave
the
him
thing
anxiety.
though. Here's the thing. He's not entirely.
Nobody
off the
likes you.
mark.
You don't even go here.
It on the point of should Erwin have survived from a tactical standpoint. Much as I hate to agree with Captain Dickwad, he is not wrong. Like,
No, he's not.
and they also probably weren't given the exact details of, oh yeah, they tried to give him the juice, and he subconsciously, in his state, refused to take the fluid.
Well,
I don't
he-
think that was included in the report.
well, no, that's how Levi interpreted it. I think
Yeah,
Levi
no,
was
what-
more like, this is a sign from the heavens.
Yeah. I mean,
Um,
like, in that moment.
Irwin was doing is he was raising his hand, like to be
In-
called
in
on.
reality, Erwin was like, hurry up, dude, give it to me.
But, like,
No, he was like dreaming about being back in school, and he was raising his hand to be called on,
Yeah, and it's
like,
like,
in his mind.
it
And
was
And
a
then
sign.
Levi took that as a sign that, you know.
Like, it was a
He
sign,
doesn't
and
want it.
Levi made a judgment call. It wasn't, it wasn't Armin's fault. It was, if anybody's, it was Levi's. And
Yeah,
and
well, I mean-
everybody's giving Armin crap for being the person
Okay,
who died.
but like, well, of course he's giving Armin crap, because is anybody really gonna give Levi crap?
Levi just wouldn't take it.
I mean,
Mikasa
here-
will give Levi crap.
That's
Mikasa
fair. That's
Yeah,
fair.
yeah,
But
that's fair.
Mikasa and Levi are like
Nobody else.
One.
practically equals.
I mean, did
Yeah.
you see what he did to the Beast Titan's arm? Like, you can't
I saw
argue with
this-
this guy.
I saw this funny meme. You know the meme where it's like the guy reading the book and he's like gesturing up to the butterfly and he's like, "Is this blank?" And it's like obviously not a butterfly.
So
And it was just like, "Is this Levi?" Because when the Beast Titan like got his fucking hand like chopped, he literally goes, "Is this Levi?"
more on the point of who's gonna mess with Levi. Here's my point: if they don't want to mess with Levi, why on earth are they questioning his decision?
Okay, but like, here's the interesting thing about it too, right? Is because Levi is listening into all these accusations, but he doesn't
Mhm.
do anything.
Of course,
No.
of
Like,
course,
he
he
just
doesn't
kind of
want
lets
to
it
do
happen.
that.
I feel like it's like Levi in dad mode, being like, this builds character. Like, the kid needs to learn. Like,
Maybe.
I think it was more like you don't want to go in there like right now and bust their chops, because
I think it was-
everybody's feeling a little spicy.
You
at
know,
the
if-
moment.
Well,
if I'm being honest, knowing Levi, it was probably more of like, well, he's not entirely wrong.
that's the impression I got. That he's standing over there being like, yeah, I probably should have done the other thing.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, I know
Or
he
should've-
like
should've
Levi said
stayed.
he's not gonna regret his decision. He's gonna stand by it. But like,
Yeah.
he's also, but like, I feel like he's also being like, no, he's not entirely wrong.
Well,
Like-
he can not regret his decision, but still like go back and
Mhm.
question it, right? Like a little
Yeah.
bit. Not to
And
the point of saying, well, okay, I actually should have. I made the wrong choice there, but by saying, that would be
I don't think it
That would
was.
be the more conventional choice.
I don't even think that he's questioning his decision. I think
Hmm.
Levi. No, I feel like Levi is the kind of guy who makes up his mind and then it's made up. And I think it was more of like he was listening to him and was like, well, no, like he's got a point, but so I'm not like, he's not entirely wrong, so I'm not going to stop him, but that doesn't mean that I necessarily agree with him either. Like I made my decision, I stand by it kind of thing.
Yeah, I think Levi doesn't strike me as the kind of person that would question. Oh, goodbye. That
Who'd
would
we lose?
question
Forrest.
Forrest.
No.
Levi doesn't strike me as the kind of person to really question his decisions, or at least not let it show.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah. So, but yeah, so like Flock says Mika says like, Aaron, like just let it go. It's fine. And then Flock is like, but you, Mikasa, you were the only one that behaved like an adult because you gave up. And then
And
Mikasa was like, what the fuck did you say?
I was thinking like, wow, you dead now.
Like,
can't believe Flock's about to get fucking murdered. Like Mikasa is always down to fight people. Like
oh hell yeah, she was down to fight Levi. Like
I was just rewatching the episode where Levi kicks the shit out of Aaron in the courtroom and whatnot. Like right after he discovers his Titan shift, and Mikasa was so ready to jump over that fucking barrier and throw hands at Levi. She's just like, "Come here, you little shit! I'm gonna fuck you up right now." I love
so
Mikasa, though.
things
She's like my favorite character.
Things escalate, and like it involves more and more scouts getting into the argument, and then Flock finally tells them that like they better like tell the truth when they start recruiting more scouts, because even like the cannon fodder has a right to choose to live or die.
I mean, that's just him being a dick.
Are you back, Forrest?
I'm back. Yeah.
Welcome back.
Welcome
Thank
back.
you.
We missed you.
I will
We
say
finished up
that
the episode.
not only did I miss you, but also that guy is also a dick.
Flock? I mean, yeah,
Like
obviously.
he has no
It's
right
his
to
new
say you
stated
better
purpose
tell
in
them the
life.
truth. These guys deserve to live. It's like they know what they're signing up for.
Well,
It's
that's
like-
kind of
Well-
his argument, though, was that he's saying they really didn't, like him and his team, because they were like, I if I recall correctly, like him and his team, they were like they were wall guard, whatever the hell they're called, and they got like, because the scouts lost a bunch of people, they got recruited in to go on this mission, so they kind of like became like, okay, you're like kind of by definition they were like, okay, you're scouts now, we're going on this big mission, we need your help. But they
I
didn't
think
really
They
tell
still
them.
got volunteers for it.
Yeah, no,
right,
they
but-
still
but again-
volunteered, but I think he's saying like their propaganda was spun as like, oh, come get glory, help reclaim Wall Maria,
Well,
when
but
it
the
was
thing-
more like, come die with us.
Well,
Well,
no, but the
did-
thing is that fucking Ervin said, like, before it, he had his whole speech of, like, we're probably gonna fucking die. Like, yeah, we are gonna die. So, like, hope y'all are ready because we're fucked. Like,
Well, he said
but-
that once they were in battle, though.
Well, I think that's the spiel. Even when I don't know, remember specifically what he said, because I think we do
You know,
see
I just
a
saw that
scene where
episode.
he's like, "Hey guys, let's all join together and join
Hmm.
the scouts because we're gonna retake the wall, right?" And they all signed up, but again, I don't think you can warn people ahead of time. I don't think that's actually going to prepare them for how suicidal you have to
I
be in the
mean,
scouts. Like that's the whole point, right?
He does say, like, in the initial, like, back in season 1, when people are, like, swearing into the scouts,
Mhm.
that, like, within, like, the first year, 60% of them will be dead.
Yeah, your
Yeah.
your
And the
odds of
40% that
surviving your
live,
first
mhm.
mission is
Mm-hmm.
terrible, right? In the scouts, like after you're not actually a scout until you've come back from your first mission, basically,
Yeah.
because until you've looked death in the eye and you've gone a little bit insane, you can't
You're not
actually do what the
prepared.
scouts do. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, like all of our main characters, right? Aaron, Mikasa, Armin, they're all kind of nuts at this point. Like they're all a little bit psychotic because
Yep.
of the stuff that they've gone through. Like you have to be kind of crazy
Mm-hmm.
in order to be part of the
I mean,
scouts. And you can't
lest-
prepare people for that. You can't just tell
lest
them,
we
"Oh, we're all gonna
forget-
die probably."
lest we forget, Aaron and Mikasa like straight up murdered like 4 dudes when they were 9. So
Alright, so maybe there can be people more prepared.
More prepared.
Tina was just like, oh, they're fucking crazy, aren't they? And I'm like, Tina, everyone in this show is crazy.
Everyone is mentally insane.
Like, wait till you see Hanji. Hanji is the craziest of them all. Ow! Fuck.
You okay?
Okay. Yeah, I'm fine. I hit my funny bone and it wasn't funny.
Oof.
Oh, it never is.
It's you know you'd think it'd be funny, but it never is.
I blame Aaron Yeager.
Who doesn't blame Aaron Yeager?
Blame him for
So,
everything.
Armin concurs that Erwin should have been saved over him, but Aaron reminds him that they have no way of knowing what the future holds. And then he's like, but remember, Armin, the sea. We still haven't seen it. And he's like, on the other side of the wall is freedom, but then like he stops himself.
Yeah.
And then they receive their medals from Historia and their bolo ties.
Yeah. Well, and one last thing about that scene though, like, sure, red-haired kid, I didn't remember his name still, but
Flock.
Yeah, he's a total dick. But nothing that he said was wrong, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
I mean, you can be a dick and be right.
Yeah.
It doesn't make you less of a dick.
Does it make you less of a dick? No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. But you know.
So, but yeah, they receive their bolo ties, but then Aaron touches Historia and he has a vision of his father arguing with the king back in like the crystal chamber. And
can I say real fast about this fucking award ceremony thing? Is like, how funny and how weird must it kind of be? Like, because Sasha was one of the people that got awarded too, right?
Right.
Like, he survived it too. Is like, I just think back and it's like, how weird must it be for Sasha to be there, because they're doing the whole like kissing her hand and whatnot, and she's putting the medal over their head. Sasha's just sitting here like kissing her hand, like, this is the chick that stuffed bread in my mouth the first day of training. I was dumb enough to eat a potato in front of our CO.
Like,
how weird must it be for them to just be like, this is the chick that like we went through basic with, like,
and now look at her. Yeah, she's got this cape on. And
I feel
like, she's grown.
I
like
think
2
it was
feet.
more, honestly, if there's one thing that I think might have been running through Sasha's head, if it provided it wasn't food, was like, it was probably Sasha being like, out of everyone here, I'm the one that's getting this medal that's like, and my medal is a you participated medal.
Wow.
I could.
Wow.
She did participate.
I mean, lest you forget, she was in the top 10, like, of their class. Like,
she was, but then she was like down for the count so goddamn fast. Like, in that battle, like she just happened to be one of the people that lived.
Stuck through her chest.
That could
kind of
have
puts a
happened
damper
to
on.
anyone, dude. Like, anyone could have gotten bitch smacked and been down for the count.
Like,
yeah,
Don't
I
you
don't
put
think
my
these
girl
medals-
down. Listen.
Again, I don't think these medals were like, hey, you did brave things and hooray. It's more you lived. Like,
yeah,
you're still
They're
here.
the
That's...
official I lived bitch medal.
Yeah.
You went through the apocalypse and came out the other side, kind of.
Yeah. So, but yeah, so basically Aaron has that vision and he's super terrified.
Is it just me, or does it seem like we didn't see everything he did?
I feel like that's probably true.
Because he looked real terrified, and all we saw was like his dad being all upset and kind of freaked out and be like, hey, you have to go save, they're attacking the wall, go
Yeah.
do something about it. And then everybody looking all scared and him looking all anxious, and then like he probably watched his dad like eat all of them, right? That's probably
Maybe
what happened. Maybe
I don't know, but either way, over the course of the winter, they wipe out all the Titans within the walls, and Wall Maria is officially reclaimed roughly 1 year after the Battle of Trost.
Whoop, whoop.
bit of a time skip, yeah.
Yep. And what is the most important thing that happened during that time skip?
Aaron grew
Aaron's
out his
hair
hair.
got longer.
Yeah.
And Armin
And
Armin
nobody else.
actually cut his hair.
Did he?
Someone says that our voices are super quiet.
They may want to turn up their volume. I would suggest.
No,
It's their
Ouch.
problem.
We're really quiet. I have us at max volume, and we're really quiet.
All right, I will
Hmm.
boost the volume, but we were getting a little close to the yellow for me, so I turned us a bit
Hmm.
down.
Well, yellow
So,
is the problem. It's red that's the problem.
Okay,
Yeah.
well, now we're louder.
Okay,
All right,
cool.
all right.
We're louder,
Um,
everybody. I
So,
hope we're better.
Oh my god. But
Um,
well, Hanji also got a cool eye patch. That was the thing that
yeah,
happened.
Hanji got
Or
an
like
eye patch.
an eye thing.
Not
Is
as
it like
cool
a
as an
monocle?
iPad, but close enough.
You
They
know
just have
something,
iPads now.
something that I actually just found out, and I don't know if you guys know it. Um, Hanji has officially been established as being non-binary.
Really?
Yeah, which is why they only ever refer to Hanji as like Hanji, or like they actually use they them in one of their earlier scenes.
Hmm.
For
Really?
reference, the
Just like-
Japanese have a non-gender specific reference that we don't.
Hmm.
Well, but the
That would
thing
help.
is that apparently they had, when they were first doing like the conversion into English, like because everyone calls Hanji Hanj most of the time,
Mhm.
like Hanj is the more masculine version. And so people had started asking the writer, like, is Hanji, like, are they a specific gender and whatnot? And after doing some like consideration, they realized that they had never written anything like specific on either way for Hanji. And so they were like, you know what? Actually, yeah, Hanji's non-binary. Hanji's not either or.
Oh, that's
So
really cool.
I thought that was like super cool, and I was like, man, that just made the decision for me of who I'm gonna cosplay from Attack on Titan.
There you go.
I just thought that was really cool. Since we were talking about Hanji, I had to share that real fast.
Oh.
That's awesome. So as they ride further out, you know, they like see some birds and whatnot. It's super pretty, and then they find a Titan that's unable to move, and it had crawled a long way, but it seems it eventually gave up, and it looks like it gave up quite a while ago because there are like some trees growing pretty close behind it. But Aaron, now this is kind of what you were talking about earlier, Forrest, is there's been this huge paradigm shift in Aaron's thinking. Because
Mhm.
you know, at the beginning of the show, Aaron was like, "I'm gonna kill all the Titans."
Grr.
Grr, right? And then, but now he comes up to this helpless Titan, and he describes it as a fellow patriot, and
Yeah.
decides to let it be.
Yeah, that
I
was
don't know that
freaky.
he touches it, and then he's like, "Oh, it's a fellow patriot. It was kicked off the wall by the Marleyan people. Let's
Mhm.
not kill it." Is he reading the Titan's thoughts now? Is that now just the thing he can do?
It
I
seems
don't-
to be.
It almost seems like
'Cause
he
it-
could identify it, like which
Yeah,
one it
like he was
was.
seeing its memories of being kicked off the wall.
But see, the thing is, too, though, right, is that I'm kind of under the impression that that's how all of the Titans came to be.
Yeah, that's definitely.
I
My guess
except
is
for the
that's
big
where
ones,
most of the Titans
like
they've
the
been
named
killing have been.
ones.
Well, right.
Now,
Yeah, my guess is that Marley has been populating this island with big
Mhm.
big and little titans, and even so when I was just rewatching the episodes before this, so even when Mr. Creepy feeds little girls to the dogs guy
Mhm.
is up there injecting people with the Titan's serum, he says, "Oh, let's make this guy a 3 or 4 meter one," which makes me wonder if he can actually control, maybe based on the amount of spinal fluid that they inject, the size of the Titan that will result.
Really?
Yeah, I did
That was
notice
my
that
impression.
as well.
So that with the Colossal Titan, they just gave him a shit ton of serum.
No.
Well, that's a special one, though.
No, I know.
So, yeah, maybe. But like for the really, really big guys, like maybe they like put a whole bunch of. Maybe they get a kick out of seeing big Titans step over little Titans. Who knows? I mean,
maybe. But there's another important thing that happens over the course of the winter. They also go through and eradicate all of the Titans from within Wall Maria, right?
You just
Mhm.
said that, yes.
Yeah, you said that.
Did I? Okay.
Mhm.
So, and because they did that, like Hanji had come up with this idea that uh most of the Titan, because of like the agenda of Marley, like most of the Titans were probably within the walls at this point. Like there were probably very few Titans left outside the walls, and it turns out that that was true because for the most part they basically rode all the way out to the sea, smooth sailing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, it makes me wonder, is that in anticipation of their oncoming attack, perhaps, that they're trying to clear the field of Titans?
Maybe, I don't
So
know.
that they don't need their troops as well, or is it just that they've basically what they've done is essentially they've stopped executing people there,
Yeah.
right? They've stopped sending people off into the desert as Titans.
Now, here's the thing though too, is that they with with that paradigm shift in Aaron's thinking, I have to say, for the first time ever, I might like Aaron.
Character development. It's amazing what a little character development will do.
Because now he's stepped away, like over these last several episodes, he's been thinking really hard. Like he doesn't just act on impulse anymore. He thinks through things. Like, you know, he's like, I can't, like, you know, his thing about like I can't let them know about, you know, touching a royal blood member because they might do something to Historia. Whereas like I feel previously he would have just been like, oh hey, I can do this. Is that helpful? You know?
Yeah.
He's learned
He's
to shut
definitely
the
not been
fuck
the
up.
brains of the operation.
Yeah, and so now like having him, like, especially I feel like that moment where he decides to let that Titan live is so important because it's just, not only does it mark a shift in his way of thinking, I think it marks a shift in his maturity too.
Yeah.
So Aaron has matured quite a bit over that time skip. And so but then eventually they reach the wall where the Eldians were made into Titans, and they reach the sea, and everyone is completely stunned except for Aaron.
Yeah, he's like, I've already seen it. It's fine.
But see, here's the other thing too, right? First of all, on an animation level, they put so much goddamn work into that beach scene, and I applaud them. It was gorgeous.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny because I was looking through the Mikasa Ackerman tag on Tumblr last week, right after the episode, and someone was like, "Cool, season finale next weekend. Y'all know what that means." And they posted like a screen cap of one of the panels, and it was Mikasa like holding her boots up over the water, and I was just like, "What the fuck even is this?" And then it happened, and I was like, amazing. And just like that moment with her is just so adorable. Like Mikasa can go from being the baddest of asses to like so cute in like 2 seconds. And I'm just like, oh my god, she's so precious.
Water? What is this?
Yeah, no, that whole scene is just gorgeous. Mikasa was real cute. I fucking loved Hanji just still being curious about everything. Like Hanji's like, "What is this?" And Levi's like, "Hanji, it could be poisonous. Stop."
That's such a Hanji Levi moment, right? Where she's like, "Ooh, what's this? Let's look at it." And he's like, "It's probably poisonous. Don't touch it." Like it's just so indicative of their characters. I love it.
And then, but like Armin and Mikasa are completely overjoyed to have reached their goal from the first episode. And so this is where, like, this scene, I will admit, really hit me hard because I think it works both on a character level and an audience level, where the characters from the very beginning, and by way of the characters, the audience as well, has, I think, always been under this assumption that this story ends when they reach the sea.
And it's not.
And that's
not by a long shot.
That's not the case. And so actually reaching the sea is this really bittersweet moment where like both Mikasa and Armin are like, we did it. Like we reached this place that we talked about as kids. Like all these years later, we've finally done it. We're here. And Aaron's like, no, we're not here. Like we may have reached the sea, but when we were kids, we thought the sea meant freedom. But the sea does not mean freedom.
Mm-mm.
Like, we thought that this was the end of the road, but it's not. We still have more work to do. We're still not free. We've come this far and it's still not enough.
Yeah. Well, and I think
Mm.
Aaron's point, right? Because they seem kind of shocked that he's not having a good time with the ocean. But then he says, okay, so we thought over the sea meant freedom, but over the sea isn't freedom. Over the sea, there's more enemies.
Yep.
So he like sort of half-heartedly, almost in a trance, points across the sea and says, if we kill everybody over there, is there freedom on the other side of that? Well, maybe there's what if we defeat basically take this to further and further lengths, right? If they go and they defeat Marley, well, then what?
Yeah.
Then there's presumably other countries out there that also don't like them, right? What if do they have to conquer the entire world? Do they have to kill everyone who isn't them before they can have freedom? Like I think what he's sort of realizing is that this ideal of freedom, if we just do this thing, we get to this place and we have freedom now, isn't how freedom works.
Yeah.
Right? It isn't a thing that you reach or you get to, in a final sense of the word, right? It's something that you strive for. It's something that you have to constantly work at, but there's always something more to do to get there.
Yeah. It's kind of like this never-ending cycle.
Which is kind of what the owl was talking about, right? On the
it'll just repeat again and again and again, yeah. So, they leave the entire season on this bittersweet note, and with that, Attack on Titan season 3 comes to a close. Which I suppose is now a good time to mention that it has been officially confirmed Attack on Titan Season 4 is coming next year, 2020, and Season 4 will be the final season of Attack on Titan.
Gasp.
Yep.
Now here's the thing, though. Who's to say they don't
Because
do what
apparently
they
the
just did here
manga
with
is
like
also...
Season 3 parts 1 and 2? They could still do that.
Yeah, we don't know what we don't know if they're gonna break it up like they did this season, but
I just hope we still get the same number of episodes.
Yeah, I imagine it's going to be a long season. Like, they're not going to give us like 12 episodes and say, well, that's your lot.
Yeah.
It'll be, I think, probably 24 at least. But...
And so apparently also, I mean, we were doing a little research on this. It seems like the manga is coming to close. Manga is coming into a close as well pretty soon here. Probably within the next year or two. And because it's at this point well into its final arc. So yeah, it's
I mean, that's
it's such a weird thing to think about for me, because for me personally, Attack on Titan has been around since before I considered myself an anime fan. So the idea of anime without Attack on Titan is really weird.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad in a way, right, that they're that the author of the manga and that the show writers, like, they have an end planned. They're not just going to do the sort of serialized thing where they just spin it out longer and longer and longer until it just becomes so bad that it doesn't have the fan base to sustain it anymore and the money runs out.
Right.
Like, that's never a good way for anything to end, and I feel like a lot of at least TV shows do that, right? They'll just run it into the ground and then
that's something that I agree. That's something that I really appreciate about anime in particular over a lot of like American TV shows, is because a lot of American TV shows do that, where they just spin their wheels until the money runs out. But because so many anime come from manga and light novels. Now it's true, a lot of manga and light novels do, like can also go on forever and ever and ever for those reasons. In
Mhm.
the case of anime, a lot of the time I feel like uh, there are so many cases where there was a story and the mangaka or the light novel author had a definitive end in mind from the very beginning, and they wrote, and then even if their publisher came to them and were like, this is super popular, we want you to do more, like the author was like, no,
No,
this is where it ends, I'm done.
Mhm.
This is
you
it.
know
this is the
This is
story.
the end
Yeah.
of the story.
yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, and I think especially for something like Attack on Titan, because this show really, like no other show I've seen, has a way of reinventing the world every so often,
Mhm.
right? Like you think, oh, we're attacking Titans, right? They eat people, and then surprise, some people can turn into Titans. What? Mind blown, right?
Mhm.
Worldview changed, and then like, oh, there's Titans in the walls, and like, so every one of these big revelations, and because there's such a dearth of information between then and the next little world reviving or world changing piece of information, right? It's this interesting, like everything shifts and your whole worldview changes every time there's a new bit of lore. And at this point, like we've gotten a lot of lore in the last couple of
Mhm.
episodes. We've gotten a lot of backstory on the world, on the history of the Titans, on all of this stuff. So there's only so much of that you can do before you run out of cool ideas to totally shift the paradigm of the show. So I'm glad that it's coming to an end before it runs out of good ideas, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Because that's sort of what I think what the show, one of the strengths of the show is.
Yeah. I completely agree. So, yep, final season next year. Brace yourselves.
Brace yourselves. It will be
Uh,
epic,
But
probably.
So-
in good news though, Attack on Titan may be ending for this season and maybe next year, but we're certainly not. We'll
Well,
probably be back within the next couple weeks.
before we get into that, Ian,
Mm-hmm.
so I kind of wanted to just go around the table and ask, now that season 3 has officially come to a close, what's the consensus on this season?
I really liked it. Honestly, I really liked. I personally didn't really care for maybe the first like 4 episodes of the season.
But that had the badass Levi moment
I know
in
it
it.
did. I know it did. The majority of the episodes of the first like 4 episodes, I was kind of like, it would have. But like this this season was so good, like plot wise, that it's just like it never to me felt like really slow. Like it never really felt like it was, if there's anything I've learned rewatching the first season, is that they would go like 3 or 4 episodes of only dialogue. And it was like, okay, I get that you're building the world. I get that you're telling us important things. But like, I just want to see action. The way the same thing happened in this season, but still managed to keep my interest is what really impressed me most. Was it never felt like I was like, okay, I'll just sit in this classroom and fucking, you know, be taught all about what's going on and be fucking bored the whole time. It was like it was really interesting. The way that it was shared with us was really dynamic and kind of different to me anyways, than the previous seasons.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it helps that they're actually telling us lore and stuff. Like most of the show, like you go 9 episodes without having a little bit of lore.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I completely concur. I think like people talk, like I hear people talk about like the greatness of Attack on Titan season 1 all the time. And the thing is like, yes, there's a lot of really good things about the first season. I do, however, believe that the first season was far from perfect. Um and that definitely goes doubly so for the second season.
Amen.
Um but this season, I know we've said it on the podcast before, but the mangaka actually came in because the mangaka was very upset with how this arc went in the manga, and actually sat down with the anime staff to essentially rewrite the story to be better, which is an awesome thing that you rarely get to do. It's like you put your story out and it's this one way, and then it doesn't go the way you want, and you get a bunch of feedback on it, and then you almost never get a second chance to be like, I'm gonna redo this better.
Time
This
to
time.
retcon.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like I have to really respect the author for that. Like season 1, I think that just the how visceral an experience of was for season 1 was just a mind opener for everybody else. Like, oh my god, this is amazing. Season 2 was a letdown for obvious reasons. Let's not get
Mhm.
into the weeds. But season 3 was just. I'm sorry, did you somehow manage to get like the best of both worlds for both action and lore and modest levels of character here? And like, what is this? This was not the action, saga where people are dying all the time that season 1 was. This is amazing. This is
Yeah.
Yeah, the
unfathomable.
level I felt this season, the level of writing was elevated massively from what I'm used to with Attack on Titan. Um, and it, yeah, it just it continued to keep my interest. I personally really enjoyed the first few episodes because, like, as Forrest was talking about with the paradigm shift, it was like, okay, now we've shifted over from like this action thing here. Now we're kind of almost doing like this political drama thing because we're dealing with the politics of the king and the government and and how they're corrupt and all that kind of stuff. And so it was like once again kind of redefining what the subject of the show was.
I never said I hated the first four. I just said they weren't my favorite.
No, that's
Right.
I that's completely fair. I'm just saying that I personally really enjoyed it. And yeah, I pretty much enjoyed this season from beginning to end. I didn't really the if I had one complaint to make about this season, it was that it took half a fucking episode to walk to the basement.
Yes. Yes. That is
It
probably
wasn't
the
quite
top
the
complaint.
episode. It wasn't quite the episode where they all sat in a tree and talked for like a whole episode,
Yeah.
but it wasn't too far from that.
Look, I'm just gonna say that episode, like just the walk to the basement, is probably gonna be a meme forever now. Just like, oh yeah, you thought this was long? Why don't you watch how long it took them to walk to the basement and come
I
back to
mean,
me?
what?
I want to say real fast is one thing that I really did like was now that I'm going back and rewatching it is rewatching the first season with the knowledge of who Ymir, who Bertold, who Rhina, who Annie are, like
Mhm.
all of them, and seeing the scenes that they then now in the third season have gone back and referenced, and like the scene when Marco catches them talking and whatnot, and like
Yeah.
the them like Annie getting pressured into being the one that betrays Marco, and just like it kind of really felt very full circle, like the whole story was kind of coming to that point of like, holy shit, it's all kind of making sense now, like
It was there. You just didn't see it.
exactly, it was always like right there, and it was just like fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well.
I
Yeah.
go ahead.
Yeah. I was just gonna say with a show that does like the paradigm shift thing so often with every new piece of information, like yeah, going back and rewatching it is kind of a special thing because a lot of times like you watch something or reread something and you're like, oh yeah, okay, we know now what they didn't know then, and you can kind of like see where the shape of things are going. But with this show, it's just even more of that.
Mhm.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. So it seems like the consensus on Attack on Titan season 3 is 2 thumbs up.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I have a few points from just wrapping up, and maybe some controversial ones that
Okay.
I want to get
Go
to.
for it.
I was rewatching up to this episode this afternoon with a friend of mine. We were discussing it a little bit, and he had some crazy ideas, and I was like, "Wow, I never even thought of that."
Okay.
So first one, I don't know if we talked about this last episode, but we were talking about was it last episode or 2 episodes ago when we found out the end of Grisha's story with his the son who betrays his parents, right, and like turns them
Mhm.
over to the Marley government, right? Do you remember the son's name?
Zeke.
Zeke.
Yeah.
And do you remember what Backpack Titan calls the Beast Titan?
Zeke.
Yeah. Did
And
we
he
get
looks
that?
similar too.
He's Aaron's half brother. I don't know if we got to that last episode.
So I'll be okay. I will be real. I'm glad that you bring that up because that was definitely one of the manga spoilers that got spoiled for us in the comments on one of the previous episodes.
Yeah. That's what got us
But
so irritable.
I don't actually know if that was a manga spoiler though, because in the episode where we see little boy Zeke, one of the toys that he's shown, like the toy he's shown playing with, is a big monkey.
is it really?
It is. I just watched it today.
I mean,
I know. I remember which one you were talking about though, and that was before that episode because it was the episode
Oh, okay.
that I the first one that I came on for this season. That was, I want to say, like 5 episodes ago, maybe, when like Cole and everyone was still gone. And I
Mhm.
remember someone posting that in the chat. And there are things that I've looked up just because I'm a dumbass and like to know about the manga. And that was one of the things that I had not been spoiled on. And someone had posted it in the chat and been like, "Oh yeah." And I was like, "Oh, cool. I'm gonna just like try to remove that," and I just couldn't before everyone else saw it. So
Yeah, I don't know, because we definitely hear him call, like, we hear Backpack Titan call him War Chief Zeke or something like that, and then they say the kid's name is Zeke, and we're like, oh, I didn't put that together somehow, but like,
well, it was
yeah,
spread over a
it's his
very
brother.
long period of time. Like,
Well,
how long was
it
it
wasn't
between
actually.
references
It
to
was
each one of those references? Like, at least like a long number of episodes. And keep in mind, like, we're not just
no.
talking like in like runtime. We're also talking like watch time. Like, when did that
No,
episode
it
air?
was a couple of episodes apart. It was like 2 episodes apart. I think that's the
Really?
first time we hear Backpack Titan call him. That's, I think, the only time we hear him referred to as
it was
War
after
Chief
he
or
had
something.
already like saved him, and Zeke was like on his back and like didn't have arms and whatnot.
Yeah, I think, yeah. So that was one revelation that I was like, oh wow, that's crazy. And then a couple episodes ago, when Historia is reading the letter from Ymir, right, and she like touches it and has sort of some flashbacks of Ymir's memories, essentially, like somehow she's connecting to Ymir's memories, and that's, like I was saying, okay, so it's like, where was Ymir from? It looks like she was from Marley because we see her being like pushed off the docks there. And then there's a scene after that where we see her kind of chained up in what looks like the king's like crystal cave place, right? Only it's not made of crystal.
About that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we talked about that. And when my friend and I were talking about this today, he said, "Oh, well, what if that's in Marley? What if they just have a similar setup over in Marley?" Because essentially, because Ymir is essentially telling Historia, "Hey, I don't have much time left to live," and we were like, "Okay, well, is that because she's running out of Titan power, life, or whatever, like the 13-year thing, or are they gonna kill her, right?" And it actually makes a lot more sense to me that they would kill her, because the way Marley has taken over their little corner of the world is they've had these 7 Titans that they control, right? The Beast Titan, the Colossal Titan, and the Armor Titan are 3 of them. But they also had the littler Titan that Ymir turns into. She gained that power by eating one of Bertold and Reiner's comrades. That's how she turned back into a human after she was kicked off the wall, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it makes a lot of sense that they would want to reclaim that power by having somebody else eat her.
I hate
take
being
that
here
power
right
back.
now because I know the answer to that. Because I've spoiled myself. And I'm just sitting here going, mute self.
So I'm just I think Ymir might already be dead, is what I'm saying. I think that they're gonna turn that Titan power back against.
No,
our
I
guy.
love Elizabeth Maxwell though.
I know.
Manstain.
I know.
Gets very close to the mic. I love her too.
Um,
But
So yeah.
that's the crazy thing. Oh, the last little bit about Ymir was that isn't it weird that her little like Titan power, because like she's a very small, she turns into a very small Titan, right? Compared to like the Colossal Titan or even Aaron's Titan or Reiner's Titan, right? And she actually, when she's like crouched, she looks a lot like that picture the Marleyan people have of the Devil of all Earth and the original Ymir. And the original Ymir looks a lot like Historia.
Oh
Hmm?
God. Oh
I'm
God.
just saying, there's some parallels there that I don't
And
know how to feel
let,
about.
let me let me put this one further. We know that last time we learned that the link between all of the Titans through, the coordinate goes through
Mm-hmm.
both space and time. What if the
Mhm.
imagery that the Marleyans use comes from a moment at some point in the future?
Oh, see, now you're just fucking blowing my mind, okay?
I mean, let's be real. Let's
Boom.
take a look back. Let's take a look back when Ymir first revealed herself, because I also just recently rewatched that because I'm gay as fuck for Ymir / Elizabeth Maxwell's voice. I will probably openly admit that if she ever asked me, "So, how do you feel?" I'd probably be like, "Yeah, sorry, not really." But so like at the tower when she makes her reveal, like there's a very distinctive moment where after she's made her reveal where she is crouched before Historia, exactly like that image.
Yeah, that's I
Like
think because there was a
exactly
flashback of
the
that
same
in this
pose.
episode or something. And I was
Hmm.
just like, wait, what? That looks.
Mm.
I will say, and I'm not gonna say it because I guess it's a spoiler. I mean, is knowing what the name of the Titans is a spoiler?
I think it might be
The
to a
name
certain
of the
Yeah,
degree.
maybe.
Okay, because I
Um,
know I know what Ymir's Titan like name
Yeah,
is,
that would
and
definitely
yeah,
Oh,
be a spoiler.
yeah,
yeah. Let's save that. But
yeah,
yeah.
um, but yeah. So that is, I think that wraps up Attack on Titan season 3. So Ian, I
hashtag
think
bring
you
back Ymir.
had some stuff to say about moving forward.
Yeah, moving forward, we're gonna like I said before, Attack on Titan's coming to a close at some point. We're sure as heck not. We're gonna find something else to watch, something else to
Yep.
discuss,
Yeah.
and something for you guys to follow along with us, so that it doesn't require 3.5 seasons of prior watching to enjoy with us. Hopefully, because I think like the only major um second seasons like Don Machi,
Yeah,
and I
Don
don't think
Machi's
that's
coming
going to be
back
a high
in.
candidate.
Yeah, Don Machi. Well, no, I'm gonna watch the shit out of Don Machi, but
I meant like for the podcast.
not
It's
for the
not like a
podcast. Though.
yeah.
Yeah. So Don Machi, if you don't know, is it wrong to try and pick up girls in a dungeon?
My
That's coming
answer,
back for a second
absolutely
season.
not.
Oh
It
my
is.
god.
I hate harem anime. I love Don Machi. It's great. Um,
You guys just let me know what series y'all pick, and if you want me back, and I will do my best to catch up on whatever it is or
well,
whatever.
We
we
are
don't
gonna
want to do
catch up.
catch up this time.
Okay.
So I
Yeah.
think some of the anime that we're kind of considering right now. I know that we talked about maybe doing Doctor Stone. Um, and which according to here's the synopsis, the quick synopsis. One day, Oki Taiju builds his courage to confess to Yuzahira, the girl he loves. When the sky is filled with a strange light, everyone touched by that light is turned to stone. After thousands of years trapped in stone, he breaks out of his shell and starts to explore the world until he finds his old friend Senku, who was freed from his stone state half a year ago. Taiju and Senku decide to team up and bring back the now lost human civilization, starting by investigating the true nature of the light that turned them all to stone thousands of years ago and how to fix the situation. The science fiction adventure series follows what happens when suddenly the world's biggest ever crisis arrives.
It sounds a little bit like the sort of Attack on Titan premise minus cannibalism, but
I mean, it kind of.
You don't know that.
yeah, I don't know, maybe.
I think we were also maybe talking about looking at Vinland Saga, right? Which is another Wit
Yeah,
Studio show.
yeah. The new Wit Studio show, Vinland Saga. which is about Vikings.
Yeah,
Vikings.
the description is it's even shorter. Um, it is Thorfinn is the son of the Vikings' greatest warriors, but when his father is killed in battle by the mercenary leader Askeladd, I think is how you say that, he swears to have his revenge. Thorfinn joins Askeladd's band in order to challenge him to a duel and ends up caught in the middle of a war for the crown of England. So it sounds like action adventure kind of stuff.
Action adventure and Vikings.
I feel like you guys and me have very different preferences for what we watch for anime.
Well, what we try to do is we try to find a show that is going to keep us talking. You know, that we're going to be able to speculate on, that we're going to be able to, make predictions on.
Something that has a lot of foreshadowing or
Yeah.
more intricate plot and is less of it. Because a lot of, you were saying, Brian, you're a fan of slice of life anime.
Yeah, for example, fucking Katakai Jozu no Takagi-san is coming back, and I'm gonna watch the shit out of it. But it's definitely not a good show for the podcast.
Ladies and gentlemen, we just saw a side of Brian that we don't usually get to see. Enjoy it while it lasts.
Look, Katakai Jozu no Takagi-san is a fucking gem, all right? And it is a show that needs to be protected.
Yes, it is. Moving on.
It's not the only thing.
There was an interesting show from the creator of Soul Eater by the name of Fire Force, which is about how people can start. The PV for that is a freaking banger. I swear.
That thing looks legit.
I haven't seen it yet. I've heard everybody's going crazy over it.
I sent you the link for the PV.
I know. I haven't had the chance to look at it yet.
You're gonna watch it when this is over.
I'm sure it's great. However, the thing that makes me concerned is that it's labeled as an action comedy, and comedy usually doesn't give us a lot to talk about.
Yeah, we'll see how that goes, because it looks like it's definitely going to go for something, like mysterious and awesome. But we need to actually watch these shows, at least the first episodes, to see what's actually going to stick.
Yeah.
The third most anticipated, it looks like, is this show called Arifrueta, From Commonplace to World's Strongest. It's another action adventure. It says, among the class that was transported to another world. Oh, isekai.
Yeah, you think?
Nagumo Hajime is an ordinary male student who doesn't have ambition nor aspiration in his life, called incompetent by his classmates. The class is summoned to become heroes and save a country from destruction. Students of the class are blessed with cheat specs and cool job classes, but that's not the case with Hajime. His job class is a synergist, and his stats are very normal, mediocre. Synergist, to put in another word, is just the artisan class. Being the weakest, he then falls to the depths of the abyss when he and his classmates are exploring a dungeon. What did he find in the depths of the abyss, and can he survive?
Yeah, with the possible exception of them falling into abyss making me somewhat reminiscent of Made in Abyss, that sounds like every teleported to an alternate video game world show I've ever heard the premise of.
So, ladies and gentlemen, like I said before, we won't know what's going to stick and be an interesting show to watch until the first week of shows come out, and maybe not even the second, depending upon when these start to come out. So it might be a little while.
Yeah,
I agree. It'll probably be another week or two before we figured it out. Another show that I'm definitely gonna watch, though, that is not on our short list for what to watch on the podcast, is Do You Love Your Mom and Her Two-Hit Multi-Target Attacks?
Oh God, yeah.
What?
I'm so hyped for that. It is the best isekai premise I've ever heard. This dude gets isekai'd with his mom, and his mom is stronger than he is. I love it.
All right, before we go into like a full-on weeb mode where we're talking about nothing but the future and nothing we're going to talk about on the show, why do we let these poor people go?
Yeah. So anyways, that's some stuff to give you some ideas in case any of you are inclined. We'd love to hear your guys' thoughts on if you have any opinions about what we might watch this next season and follow along with. It would be very helpful. But yeah, for the time being, I think that's pretty much it. Anybody else got anything?
I'm so glad to have been made a series regular 2 episodes before the season ended.
Well, Look, that was a miscommunication thing where I didn't make it explicitly clear, like, hey, if you're around and you have the energy and you're caught up, come be on the show.
Listen, I'm gonna be like Sinclair was in Genlock, and I'm getting written off 2 episodes into the series. But I'm gonna stay in the fucking opening sequence for the rest of the season.
All right, I'm revoking
Well
the offer.
named,
You're just
mind
gonna
you, but-
disappear at the start of next season. Everybody's gonna be wondering why you're gone, and we're gonna unravel that mystery throughout the entire next season.
I have to.
You know who else should be back though next season?
Cole.
Because Cole should be back because
Yay.
Cole refused to get caught up on Attack on Titan.
Yeah, well, Cole
It
can
was
come
a
back to the
lot of
show
stuff
after
to
I
watch.
tear him
Yeah.
a new asshole.
So, okay.
Wow. Okay. On that note.
On that note,
Thanks
thanks
for being
so
here,
much
though,
for
Bo.
watching.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.
Dab.
Oh my god.
I am totally not a robot.